Hey everybody, it's Allison from FlickDirect. And of course, in these uncertain times, we're all adapting to new way of doing things. So when we usually do interviews in a studio, unfortunately, we don't have that option right now. So I did a Zoom interview today with Sydney James Harcourt, who is playing Aaron Burr in Hamilton, that's going to debut on Disney Plus on Friday, July 3rd. 2020. So check out my conversation with him all about playing Aaron Burr and being in Hamilton and just how things are in the world today.
You have played almost every single male part in Hamilton.
True.
Do you have a favorite? And if so, why?
It's Aaron Burr. Um,
Okay.
and I know it seems like the obvious choice, but you know, Aaron Burr is my Gene Kelly fantasy of Broadway. You know,
Really?
yes, the reason why I am in this whole rigmarole is because I saw Singing in the Rain when I was 4, and
Wow.
I was like, that is exists, that world of like Technicolor and dancing and right, and then and there are so few really
Mm,
amazing, demanding triple threat roles on
mm.
Broadway these days, of having to act and dance and sing and, and be proficient in all of them. And that sort of was
Yeah.
my dream of Broadway always. And
Oh.
I can't think of a role that embodies that more in
Mm,
in the landscape of theater today than Aaron Burr. It is that triple threat song and dance man moment, and
mhm.
it's really, for me, it was like a lifelong dream realized.
Oh, that's fantastic. It's got to be hard, though. I mean, it's not an easy role to play
It
because
is
it's a triple threat.
it is very difficult, when
Mhm.
you're in a show like that. You have physical therapy twice a week. I had
Whew.
acupuncture twice a week. I
Oh
had
my gosh.
therapeutic massage. I had chiropractic. I had to
Wow.
stretch every single day before and after the show. And you have to take Epsom salt and and wintergreen. One of the dancers, Betsy Struxness, taught me this: Epsom salt and wintergreen rubbing alcohol in your bath, because your knees and your feet, from being in
Ah.
heeled little buckle shoes,
Mm.
running around that stage and on the steel and these turning things, your body just takes a beating. So yeah, besides all of the like singing and that you have to do, just the physical stamina in its of itself is really, it's something else.
Yeah, and he's on stage most of the time.
Oh yeah, he almost barely leaves. I mean,
Yeah.
even making your costume changes is so difficult. There are so many times where you're tying on that jabot as you enter for Theodosia, right? It's just really
Yeah.
like, it's a killer, but
Yeah.
worth the struggle.
Well, I'm glad it's worth the struggle for you. What was it like taking over for Leslie Odom Jr.? I mean, he won a Tony for
Yeah,
this portrayal.
daunting.
Yeah.
Um, you know, he's just, and here you are, like, so grateful to your friend for forging a
Mm.
path for you,
Hmm.
and as um the first replacement, to have gotten to watch him,
Mm.
um from the first days of staging. um
Uh,
it's this it's this window into a part that really allows you to sort of, like, as an actor, set up choices, and in some things you're like, you see Leslie do and you're like, that is the choice, that's the one. And then in other times you're like, I kind of have a different take on this. When I get a
mm.
chance, I'm gonna kind of do my thing.
Mm.
um and it also, for me, was unique, because I had danced in the ensemble. um
Mhm.
uh I knew all of the choreography that was going around on the floor
Ah,
at any given moment.
okay.
So, and I don't know that any other Aaron Burr has had that experience. So I was able to, in Room Where It Happens, throw in steps that the whole ensemble is doing,
so that I could have that like Janet Jackson moment where I pick up the
Yeah.
step for like 8 counts and then I let it go and I do my own thing and then I'm back to the step, right? So that really felt great, and it felt like a tribute sort of to the ensemble in a way,
Mm,
because there's no way you could do that without having
right.
known those things. Um,
Sure.
and then as an actor, like, stepping in to take it over, you're going to have to win them over in the very
Yeah.
beginning, right?
Yeah.
Because they're disappointed. It's the
Yeah.
life of an understudy, and it's the life of a replacement.
Yeah.
And but once you win them over, if you win them over in
Mm.
those first 3 numbers or whatever it is, then they're yours, because they're so happy that you're not a disappointment, and that
Right.
underdog thing kicks in where they want you to,
Yeah.
like, and they're like, no, no, he's my Burr, he's mine. And right, they feel
I gotcha.
ownership, and they
Yeah.
and you want that. So it was a blessing, it was a joy, to take it over and to play it, and such an honor, um, to kind of complete my journey, uh,
Mm.
from the workshop of this show. And
Yeah.
from the very first days, watching Leslie and thinking, this is my dream role, to play
Wow.
a part like this. I hope against hope that they can see me this way, and that I can
Mm.
be good enough to fill those shoes. So yeah.
So what happens when your dream becomes realized then? What's next?
I'm quitting.
No, you're not.
um it's so hard to plan in
Mm,
theater and in
yeah.
entertainment, because a lot of times you're dependent on the opportunities being brought to you, uh versus, like, I try and be more proactive about writing things and about coming up with
Mm,
ideas, especially now. And,
okay.
especially in the time that we're in, if you want a story told that fits you, especially if you're out of the mainstream, if you're not
Mm,
one specific race, or if aren't, a cisgendered heteronormative male, then,
mhm.
you got to write your own opportunities. I think a lot of successful people have done that. You look at Key and Peele, and
Oh, yeah.
you look at Aquafina, and different
Mhm.
people who have. That's how they broke through.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle, and
Yeah.
so you think about that, and then you also just try and make good choices. I was
Mhm.
just talking to Renee Goldsberry about this, but it's not just about what's the most commercial thing anymore, at
Mm,
least for us. What is going to be, the biggest, or, but what is going to resonate with who I am
mhm.
as an artist, and
Okay.
what's going to make me proud to say I'm a part of this.
Mhm.
And a lot of times those are the best choices to make, is to do a small little piece somewhere that maybe isn't going to get that mainstream like producer who wants to blow it up, but the way
Mhm.
people see you in that, and then
Yeah.
suddenly you are the actor that they're looking for all kinds of projects, where you are fitting now your own niche of what you bring
Mm,
to a project. um, and then also, with something as big as this and having a platform like Hamilton,
yeah.
you I was a singer before I was anything else, and so to have
Mm,
the opportunity now to put music out and have people care, and
nice.
and to
Yeah.
you know to teach and
Mm.
share my secrets with, you know I go back to my alma mater, Interlochen Arts Academy, and
Okay.
because nobody, when I was there was nobody to tell me what New York was like. There was nobody to tell me what to
Ah.
expect. So I try
Mm.
and go back there and, like, hold the door open for
Thanks.
them, so that, they can, there's a lot of things I wish I knew and I didn't have to learn the hard way. Um,
Mm.
so there's so many ways to, what you do after something amazing like that. You also
Yeah.
enjoy your family, and, and your cats. Um, so it's been great. It's been a really wonderful time of opportunity and creativity.
Wonderful. Let's talk about Friday night because there's a huge amount of anticipation.
What is it? What's
Um,
happening?
Hamilton on Disney Plus.
Oh, right, that's right.
Yeah, that thing. Yes.
That thing, that little thing.
People have been waiting for this, and now this isn't a movie adaptation. It is the stage performance of Hamilton. Was it with an audience there in the theater with you?
There are not everything. So it was
Okay.
there were performances that were taped. I mean, that were filmed.
Okay.
And then actual theater performances, and
Mm.
then there were 3 shows that were done in an empty theater with the seats removed and like a crane and a trolley and
Wow.
like a camera on stage. I actually think it's a touch of an amalgam of
Mm.
the film version of the show and a filmed version of the stage
Okay.
play, because of the really innovative ways in which it was filmed. There are camera angles that make you feel like you're one of the ensemble members, that
Mm.
you are Aaron Burr or Hamilton in that moment. Um, there are angles from the back of the theater, and
Oh.
watching King George walk out to the stage.
Oh.
Right? There are
Yeah.
you
Different
know
perspective.
there are angles from directly overhead in this like
Wow.
kind of Busby Berkeley style of getting to see the patterns on the rotating floor. So
Huh.
it's a revolutionary way to film a revolutionary play. Oh, I'm coining that. But it is. It's really, I think it's going to change the scape of how we
Mm.
experience uh, filmed shows.
Mm.
And I think it's gonna, I think it's gonna kind of change movie musicals as well. It harkens back
Interesting.
to me that those old school MGM, affairs with, Gene Kelly and Sid Charisse or Judy Garland, where,
Hmm.
they had some stuff on sets, but then suddenly you would be in a theater, like, with backdrops and like big, huge kind of built sets. It feels like that. It kind of
Mm.
gives you that old Hollywood glamour. And so it's not any one thing. It's as the movie should be of a revolutionary play.
Yes, it sounds really interesting because it seems like it's not just audience perspective of watching it. You're getting a little bit of that first person perspective, or a different viewpoint.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
it's interesting and unique, certainly.
Hmm.
Um, what do you want people who I unfortunately I have not been to New York lately and I haven't seen it on Broadway, sadly. But so people who are watching this movie, um, what do you expect for them to take away from it?
I want them. One of the great things about this show and the story is that it reminds us that we're all Americans.
Mm,
We have so much tribal division in this country.
yeah, yeah.
And a lot of times people feel like, someone else's rights come at the expense of theirs. Um,
Hmm.
and and it's a way, I think, for the greater powers that be to keep us down is by
Mm,
dividing us and making
yeah.
us see each other as an enemy versus the power that we have as as a collective of Americans,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
first and foremost
Yeah.
what we are, because in a lot of other countries, they don't have the opportunities and freedoms that we have. So the
True.
story of us fighting for that, and
Mm,
told by a multicultural cast in 2020,
yeah.
showing where we've come, that we now have a man who would have been a slave playing a slave owner on stage
Mm,
and being celebrated for it. I hope that on a first view, it makes everyone feel this sense of oneness, that we're all together here watching this thing on July 3rd and July 4th,
yeah.
experiencing it together. and going through the catharsis of it together. And that's, I would say, the biggest takeaway I can hope for, is that we kind of heal some of the
Mm,
divisions that exist in the fabric of being an American, and can start that process, because I think it's long overdue.
yes.
um, and then on a broader scope, I hope people are able to see the change that is coming in theater and entertainment.
Mm,
That stories can be told by anybody. It doesn't matter what you look like. It doesn't matter how you're born, or the feelings that you have inside. That you
right.
can portray um, any role and do it an amazing justice, and break down this idea that you have to look a certain way or be a certain way to be involved in theater, to be
Mm,
part of this
right.
business of show.
So for the 4-year-old boy that's going to be out there watching it this week, what do you say to them?
I say, you want to be Aaron Burr, then you can be. It's so funny that you bring that up. I was 4 and saw
Right.
Gene Kelly, and didn't know not to see myself in that, right? I hadn't been taught that's not for
Mm,
you. So
interesting.
I saw him and idolized him and said, he did that, I'm going to do that. And then when I was playing Aaron Burr, I had done the signing line after a show, and I was hustling off to get some food, and a father stopped me, and he was like, I'm sorry. And he crossed the street, and he was like, I know you're, running off and you're probably tired. I just wondered if you could sign my son's playbill. He's such a huge fan of yours. You're the reason
Uh,
why he does theater, and he wants to be, Aaron Burr one day. And I looked down, and it's a little white boy with floppy brown
wow.
hair. And that's the future.
Yeah.
Our inspirations, our idols, don't have to be, in our race group or look like you. I was
Mhm.
am French, German, Irish, Cherokee, and Black, and so I'm Puerto Rican. So Puerto Rican. But so I've had a hard time like fitting into a box.
Yeah, of course.
And so I didn't kind of grow up with that concept. I just
Mm.
kind of felt like everything's for me, right? Um,
Yes.
and I didn't realize until much later that that's just not the way the world is.
Uh,
And I love that kids today, they don't feel that way.
yeah.
They feel like, for them, by and large, that anything could be for them, that the possibilities are endless. So uh, uh, you know when I'm talking to that 4-year old, I want to say, like, if you think this world is for you, then go for it full throttle, because you can be here. And
Yeah.
this story is about you.
Mm.
Alexander Hamilton's journey is your journey. It's the immigrant journey, it's
Mm.
the American journey. um it's that underdog, it's that rags to riches.
Yeah.
And it's proof that the American dream is in fact real. um and I hope that really gets across.
Yeah, it's interesting because unfortunately, while we're going through all this turmoil in the country and, school shootings and things along that nature, I think we're in some odd way teaching the next generation to be different, to be proactive, to be assertive,
Mhm.
to make the changes that were not made that have put them in this situation. So I think it's a phenomenal learning experience, and I can't wait to see what they do with it in the future. Hopefully, a
Oh,
lot of
well,
good.
yeah. I mean, especially like, I can't imagine having a device that I could record myself and then cast it out to the whole world.
Yeah,
When I was a kid, kids felt voiceless, you
yeah.
know, and now literally everybody's part of the conversation.
Hmm.
Kids, they see their world is multicultural,
Yeah.
and you can't help that because unless you are one of those people who's like, no phones, no TV, right? Which,
Yeah.
there's some good things about that, but
Yes, there are.
there are some good things about that. And I'm always telling my husband, if you don't put down that phone, um,
You sound like my husband.
but I'm like, not at the dinner table.
Oh, we have a rule: no phones at dinner. So yeah.
um, but no, I do think that kids have this window now where they
Yeah.
can, they feel like they have voices. You look at Greta Thunberg, right? And it's just like unapologetic. It's
Yeah.
like this is my planet. What are you doing to it?
Yeah.
I think that kids, that kind of attitude, that's the force of change. It is
Yeah.
coming like an unstoppable train. And if you think that
Yeah.
2020 is something, 2030 is going to make this look like, it was this like, oh, remember that little blip in 2020?
Hmm. Yeah, I know. Um, let's talk just very briefly about. I hate that we have to talk about this, but it is still something we have to talk about because it's not mainstream. It's not quote unquote normal. In terms of you are an openly gay male who tends to be playing these roles that are heterosexual males. How does your perspective for yourself, how do you bring that to the theater, to Hamilton, to the role of Aaron Burr?
Well, I believe in the Kinsey scale.
Mm,
And so I don't think necessarily that we're any one thing.
hmm.
Um, and even though I do identify as a gay man, right? Um,
Hmm.
uh, so, your job as an actor is to find all of the ways in which the character is like you and
Mm,
bring them to the role. And then the difference is you, those facets of your personality, you heighten.
hmm.
you know
Mm,
there's a part of me that's kind of crafty and shifty.
mm.
And so for Aaron Burr, you really lean into that part of him. um
Okay.
and when you're playing straight roles, I mean, I just played Joe Scott in Girl from the North Country, and that is a straight man, and there's a love story in it. And it's not, love is love. I
Hmm.
know what it's like to experience those feelings, and
Mm.
you find those qualities. Acting is make believe, right?
Right.
Every part of it. I mean,
Right.
you convince yourself that you're in a town in Minnesota, um, and that there is no like empty wall there with
Right.
900 people watching you.
Right.
So if that's the case, then I have to find the things about my leading lady and about that character that are beautiful, that make me fall in
Mm.
love, and I build
Mm.
that in to the fantasy. And
Fantastic.
you just do that until it becomes real to you,
Yeah.
and and you love them and you want to kiss them and you do those
Mm.
things. Like the way I overcame my stage fright was
Mm.
in life was, like, for instance, with Aaron Burr, I am petrified before I walk out on stage as Aaron Burr.
Really?
As soon as I cross the line onto the stage, I'm
Uh-huh.
Aaron Burr. And Aaron Burr is not afraid of talking to people and going and doing his thing, and the nerves are gone, right?
Interesting.
So
Hmm.
it's just this trick of make believe, and
Hmm.
it's the job of actors. I mean, so many straight men play gay roles
Right.
and are told how brave they are for doing
Hmm.
so, even though there are so many gay actors out there who could do the part.
Right.
But gay actors by and large are thought of by producers and directors and casting directors as unable to convincingly play straight roles. And that's a misconception I am doing my part to abolish. um,
Mm.
and you know um, so many of us, growing up, have to be in the closet for our own safety.
Yeah.
And depending on the city or country that we come from, so we
Hmm.
start doing that at an early age. we start exhibiting the behavior of a quote unquote straight person so that
Mm.
we can protect ourselves. Um, as far as Hamilton goes,
Mhm.
um, in Aaron Burr, I mean, Aaron Burr's kind of, he wears stockings and he's got heels and dances and he's kind of, highfalutin. So, you get to bring that. Hamilton was described as a feminine man
Mm.
by throughout history by so many people, and rumored to have had intimate affairs with John Lawrence and Marquis de Lafayette. Um,
Mm.
so that stuff is there, but our
Mhm.
show portrayed it in a hyper masculine sort of setting, I think,
Right.
for broad appeal.
Yeah.
Um, so I didn't feel that there were opportunities in the roles I covered to, kind of be representative of,
Mm.
the gay experience. However, in my ensemble track, there's so much more freedom because I'm
Mm.
playing characters that I'm sort of making up at times, like a man about town or a revolutionary soldier, and
Mhm.
we do get these moments. Andy Blankenbuehler, who choreographed it, told us at one point during Guns and Ships when Lafayette comes out and starts
Mhm.
doing all this crazy rap. He's like,
Yeah.
okay, there's 32 counts here. Um, and I want you guys just to freestyle.
Oh.
So I was like, all right, let's see if he means that. And
Yeah.
Lafayette starts, and I start voguing. Lafayette, I'm taking this horse, and like this masculine body in this revolutionary like soldier's
Costume. Yeah.
costume, voguing down to the floor, and then getting up and Shene turning all the way up stage, and I was allowed to keep it. And
Nice.
so throughout the show, in my ensemble track, and it's in the film, if you watch for me, you'll see in moments like the Reynolds pamphlet, I am as gay as I want to be,
Great.
dancing like, in an opposite way. But then, like, 20 counts later, I'm doing the hip hop thing and being like ultra
Yeah.
masculine.
Right.
And that's to show we are just avatars. Like,
Yeah.
this behavior it's just stuff, right?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
can do this. But the importance of it is that you have to do that. And I felt that I had to search for the opportunities
Mm.
to represent the gay culture that I had grown up with in New York and the freedom of
Mhm.
who I love to be when I go out dancing.
Okay.
Um, because people have to see themselves on
Yeah.
stage in order to feel part of the conversation and to feel
Yeah.
part of the story. And it was really exhibited for me when one of the ushers in at the Richard Rogers is involved in the ballroom scene, a young black man, and um, he came to me after one show and he said, they told me that you were voguing in the show. And I was like, I don't believe you. No, he's not. And I watched the show tonight and I saw you go all the way down to the floor. And thank you. That is
Mm.
legendary. I am so happy to see that. You do
Oh.
that 8 shows a week up there. And if if that's the only person who ever saw it, then it was worth it because
Yeah.
it really makes a difference
Yeah.
when you see this hyper masculine show about war and revolution and rap and hip hop, things that are not associated with friendliness towards gays,
Right.
and you see somebody up there living their best life, and
Mm.
it gives you courage, it makes you feel part of the conversation and
Mhm.
represented. And
Yeah.
that's how I try. That's why I've always been so, even to my detriment at times in this business, I have been really sort of adamant about being myself during
Mm.
rehearsal processes and not trying to curtail my behavior so that
Mhm.
people don't, like, not really talking about my home life or what are you
Right.
doing tonight, don't say that you're going to a drag race watch party, please don't say it, don't say it, don't say it, right? Like, I go ahead and say it and I try and be myself so that it becomes normal.
Normal. Yeah,
that
normalized.
to normalize it, that when you walk in a
Yeah.
room and you see the leading black male of a production, you you don't walk over and just have this expectation that you're going to come over to him and be like, yo bro, what's up? Yeah man, have you
Yeah.
heard the newest, because that happens to me all the time. Yo, have you heard the newest thing by Nas? Yeah, I was doing that, and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm you know, I don't know if it's going to be Evie Oddly or, who's going to be the next Drag Race winner. So that's my Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Uh,
There you go. Very quickly, what's your guilty pleasure, quarantine guilty pleasure?
um, Mario Tennis on the Switch. And there's three. There's Mario Tennis on the Switch.
Okay.
Um, I'm just burning through role playing games on the PlayStation. I'm on Star
Okay.
Wars right now, and
Okay.
then I have had so much guilty pleasure time playing with my cats, teaching
Aw.
them new tricks, like rubbing their bellies, getting them really comfortable with rubbing their bellies because they
Uh-huh.
hate that, and I'm like, oh no,
Yeah.
you're gonna love this,
Yeah.
and
I'm gonna make you love this.
I'm gonna make you love this. And now they love it. I come into the living room and they're like this.
Well, thank you so much for your time. I love talking to you. I love your perspective on everything, and I'm so excited to see Hamilton on Disney
Oh,
Plus this
I
weekend.
can't wait. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
watching along with everybody else.
Oh,
Thank you
good.
so
I'm
much for
glad.
your time and your platform and for
Thank
the
you.
questions, because
Yeah.
you don't get to talk about this stuff a lot, and I really appreciate
Right.
it.
Oh, no problem. Have a great rest of your day and your
You
week.
too. All right,
Thanks.
bye.
Bye.
Hey guys, I hope you really enjoyed my interview with Sydney. He's a really great guy to talk to, and he's got some wonderful ideas. And as you can see, it was exciting for him to be able to play Aaron Burr, which was his dream role. And hopefully, we'll be doing more interviews in the future, either by Zoom or hopefully back in studio when COVID-19 is calmed down a little bit. But in the meantime, you can also check out our new podcast called Flick That. So be sure to check it out. And I'll be around doing reviews and as many interviews as I can. So please, everybody, just stay safe and stay healthy.